Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you? All right. Now I'm just sharing the screen with you. Today we will do something called as strategic plan. All right. I'm just sharing my screen with you. Just a moment. It is opening. Okay. Now can you hear me clearly, please? Everybody is audible. Everybody can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
All right. Where are the others? Today only a few people in the class. Why? All right. We will see today what is strategic planning. Okay. Now, when we talk about strategic planning and we talk about corporate planning, now it is not necessary that strategic planning can be same as corporate planning, though strategic planning can be a part of corporate. So, strategic planning is a process in which an organization's leaders define their vision for the future and identify the organizational goals and objectives. So, whenever we see about planning, it is the vision and the goals and objectives. Can you see this? It is small. Can you? Now, strategic planning is an organizational management activity that is used to set priorities. Now, setting priorities means what? Which work has to be given how much weightage, and which assignment or which task has to be completed first. Focus energy and resources, strengthen operations. Operations can be many types because there are many departments in the organization. Ensure that the employees and the other stakeholders are working towards the common goal, what we call as a organizational goals, or we can also put it into very nice words called as goal congruence. Establish agreement around intended outcomes and results. So, whatever outcomes and results are there, see, we need to study those also and assess and adjust the organizations. Now, it's a small diagrammatic. See here what not strategic planning has. Okay, strategic plan. Then we have a proposed goals. Then we have issues. We can open up issues. We can just focus about the initial options, right? What options we have and what best option or what best possibility can we choose. Then we have gap analysis. Gap analysis, like between one process and second process, we are losing our time. All right, and we'll come to gap analysis. I'll explain you when we go ahead in the chapter. Then we have SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Now let's see what are the characteristics of strategic planning. Characteristic means what? Characteristics you can also state as factors of strategic plan. First is accountability. Accountability is if I give you a job, if I give you an assignment, you are responsible for the task. So I say the completion of the task, the accountability lies on you. Secondly, is the flexibility. How flexible is the environment and how flexible is our strategic planning in nature. That means our strategic planning can be changed or it can be modified according to the environmental conditions. Then third is balance. What type of balancing act are we going to have within our internal environment? That is, you can say balancing can be two types. I would say a balancing act between inter departments, that within the department, and secondly, one work life balance is there. Okay, that is at a individual's level where you have to balance your professional life and personal life. These two are things are different aspects. Here, when we are talking is, we are trying to maintain a balance between interdepartments in order to achieve organizational goals. Then we have manageability. Now, manageability is, we are going to measure the performance appraisals or performance measures against the set objectives. So, if I have given you certain objectives and how much targets have you obtained, that is your performance measures. It will also tell us about the performance issues and how to manage the resources required in this factor. Then we have prioritization. Prioritization will tell us, see, in an organization, there are multiple actions taking place because there are many departments, there are many people. Then which job will be given the first priority? Which task will be given the first priority? That is prioritization. Then we have specificity. Specificity will tell us the desired results, what can be the results obtained, and what can be the milestones. I told you yesterday, what is a milestone? When you're traveling home, you see some white stones. I'm telling you the dictionary meaning of a milestone here. And there it is written, oh, the city is 100 kilometers. So milestone will tell you how much work have you done and where you have reached. That is your specificity, and this is also accompanied, specificity also tells us about the detailed action plan. Then we have something called as realism. Realism means whenever you do a project, you always need to do a reality check. You always need to evaluate whether you are on the right track, whether you need to modify your planning, whether you need to change the planning, whether your planning is really justifying the task which is given to you. Then we have sustainability. Sustainability means the organization will set a time frame, right? We'll have a time duration to attend the performance gaps and make remedial measures. So, because we need to sustain in the environment, we need to sustain in the environment. If an organization needs to survive, any organization needs to survive, then sustainability becomes a very important factor. So, in order to have sustainability, the organizations can have a time duration, a time factor, and to attain the performance, and also to look into the performance gaps. Then we have effective utilization. Now, what is effective utilization? That means the organization, the strategic planning will always help us to work within the optimum utilization of the firm's resources or the organizational resources. And it will also try to tap the various options which will be available. Now, the options can be market options, it can be a product option. The next is futuristic planning. The futuristic planning will prepare the company to face whatever future scenarios are there, and will also make the company strong enough to define its future plans. That is futuristic planning. Then we have forming hedge in uncertainty. See, uncertainties cannot be defined. So we can use strategic planning even to face the uncertainties of the external environment. Now we will see in detail, not now, but maybe the next lecture, what is an environment, what is an external environment. Then we have proactive decision making. Proactive decision making tells us in advance, like, if this is the situation, if this is the uncertainty, or if these are the issues which are faced by the organization, or if this type of issues can arise in future, so what measures can we take? How can we prepare a appropriate action plan for it, and how that action plan will affect the decision making process. Then it provides growth and objectives and strategies. So it will strategic planning will also define the objectives for the organization and will also be responsible to arrange certain strategies to obtain those objectives. Up till here, any difficulty, anything you need to ask? Yes, please speak up. Please speak up. All right. Okay, see, I have given this in detail, what I was telling you. I was just telling you this. Now, what are the objectives of strategic planning? One minute. Huh? Objectives of strategic planning. Identification of opportunities and risk. You should know, we do the SWOT analysis. Involvement in proactive thinking of business objectives. We have seen in the previous slide, proactive decision making. We have seen futuristic planning. We have seen involvement in proactive thinking of the business objectives and taking coordinated actions. Then participation of management and staff. It is not only the CEO participates or only the board of directors participates. No, participation is inevitable. Everyone needs to participate. Alignment of the company's short-term, medium-term, and long-term targets for achievement of the company's objectives. So we need to align, we need to put them in place. What we need to put in place is the short-term, the medium-term, and the long-term targets for the achievement of company's objectives. Sorry. Then optimum coordination of the corporate business and functional strategies for achievement of the company's objectives. Now, when we talk about functional strategies, it is department to department. So, optimum coordination, everyone should work hand in hand in order to obtain the company's objectives. Now, what can be the components of the strategic plan? Now, of course, when you have decided the factors, um, mission and objectives, environmental scanning, this is a very important parameter. Okay, we will discuss in detail internal environment, external environment. Then we have the strategy formulation, we have the strategy implementation, and then we have evaluation and control. Up till here, any issues? Any problem up till here, please? Why today nobody is answering? Why? Lethargic just because
No,
today is
ma'am.
Thursday. Who is this? Ishika
I'm Sakshi.
or Sakshi? Sakshi, you understanding? Where are the others?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Yes. What happened? Who was this?
Ma'am Ishika.
I knew I didn't hear you in the morning. Ishika is always there. Sakshi is there. Who are the others? At least you all are answering. Okay. Ishika, are you getting? Are you understanding the subject now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, a little bit I've made it easy now compared to the first session. I've used an easy language. Okay. Components of strategic planning. Whenever we talk strategic, mission and objectives have to be there. The company's mission is defined by the mission statement. I told you to write mission statements, that is the activity for Saturday, which also consists of predefined values, purpose of the firm, and its goal and objectives which guide the whole organization. Secondly, the top management frames. It is the duty of the top management, only the duty of the top management to frame the financial and strategic objectives of the firm based on the vision. So, your objectives of the firm are based on the vision and mission. Financial objectives include sales targets, profit targets, and growth targets. The strategic objectives pertain to the firm's market position, including the market share and company's goodwill. Very important. company's goodwill. So what happens? See, the main objectives would come the objectives pertain to the company's market position. Where does the company stand, including the market share and the company's goodwill. Then environmental scanning. The main elements of environmental scanning are the internal analysis of the company, what we also call as the internal environment, right? Because we have got many departments in the organization. Then analysis of the firm's industry, right? What type of firm we are having, what type of industry we are having. Then analysis, the most important parameter, analysis of the external environment. We will see what is pest analysis. Then SWOT analysis, of course, you know now what is SWOT. At least you know what does SWOT stand for. Strength, weakness, opportunities, and
Opportunities, threat.
threats. All right. Now, see, SWOT analysis, even we do at an individual level, but we don't go for opportunities and threats. We just focus on strength and weaknesses, isn't it? Is a technique
Yes.
which is used to identify the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. The internal analysis is done to assess the firm's strength and weaknesses, whereas the external analysis identifies the opportunities and threats. So you see, the SWOT analysis is based on the internal environment as well as the external environment. We also call as an internal analysis and external analysis. The industry analysis uses Porter's five. Okay, now this is very important. On Porter, I'm going to take a total separate. One day, I'm going to explain you full Porter in detail. You need to understand this. Porter's five forces. This framework examines the following features of the industry: entry barriers, bargaining power of supplies, customers, threat of substitute products, and industry rivalry. So see, when you talk about environmental scanning can be studied with the help of pest analysis, with the help of Porter, and we have got something called as ETOP, which I will tell you later on. All right. So this is the way the environmental scanning is done. And if you don't do the environmental scanning, you will not understand whether the company, whether the organization is on the right track. Now, strategy formulation. Now you'll say, ma'am, you're telling always strategy formulation, strategy planning. These words will be repeated again and again. After environmental scanning process, the organization requires to match its internal strength, right? How will you know that you are strong? Not physically stronger, not that biceps and triceps were strong. I'm talking internal strength in terms of interdepartment functionality, right? Your organization as a whole, with potential opportunities existing in the external environment. So, are you internally strong enough to face the opportunities which are there in the external environment? At the same time, it also requires to reduce its weaknesses and threats present in the external environment. Now, see, the internal strengths, right, or the internal analysis or the internal environment will help you to deal with the opportunities in the external environment. Secondly, it will also help you to tackle the weaknesses and the threats which are present in the external environment. In order to earn profit, the firm should develop competitive advantage. Now, competitive advantage against its rivals. For example, everybody eats a pizza, right? Right? Everybody has a pizza. So you have Domino's, then we have Pizza Hut, we have Smoking Joe's. So what is the competitive advantage of Domino's over Pizza Hut? Right? Why you feel that you should eat a pizza from Domino's and not from Pizza Hut or not from Smoking Joe's? Right? What competitive advantage have they developed against their rivals? Rivals here means the business rivals, okay, which can be used on cost or differentiation. You say, oh, Domino's ka pizza is very tasty and it is cost effective. We all can afford to have a Domino's pizza. They give a 49 rupees ka pizza, they give a 79 rupees ka pizza, they give a 99 rupees ka pizza. But in case of Pizza Hut, it is not like that. So that is called as a competitive advantage against his rivals, which can be based on cost or differentiation. Now, Michael Porter has also given three generic strategies for the firm to formulate the strategy. When we come to Michael Porter, Porter's, we will see. Now, implementation. We just cannot talk about strategy. We are formulating the strategy. We are writing the plans on the paper. But this is not sufficient. This is not enough. We need to put the plan into action. So once the firm decides upon a strategy, it has to implement the same, excuse me. The strategy implementation comprises of programs, budgets, and procedures. Now, what type of programs we will see in the session. For implementing the strategy now, the organization needs to utilize its resources, available resources. Now, what type of resources? We'll have land, we'll have labor, we will have machinery, then we will have raw material, we will have semi-finished goods, we'll have finished goods. The organization needs to utilize the resources effectively and also motivate its employees to achieve the targets. It's very important, right? Everybody needs doses of motivation. Often, the implementation is what can make the strategy a failure or success. Now, if you make a strategy, it is on paper, all right, and you don't put it into action, you're not working on it, definitely your strategy will fail. But if you put your strategy or your plan into action, then you will understand, oh, Nida, should I need to change this? Am I going on the right track? What will be the parameters in order for my strategy to what will be the strategy to sorry, what will be the action plan if my strategy needs to needs to succeed. Thus, now what will play an important role? The effective communication between the employees. Now, if I don't talk to my employee, I will not understand what difficulties he or she is facing while doing the task, right? While doing a task. It is very important so that there is always remember goal congruence in the organization. So effective communication helps you to resolve many issues, so helps to solve many problems, right? If you're facing a problem and if you're not going to tell, the end result will be disastrous one. Any misunderstanding may lead to the failure of strategy implementation process. So effective communication is one of the most important parameters when we are implementing the strategy. Then we have evaluation and control. The implementation of the strategy is monitored at regular intervals. Now, why monitoring? Okay, this is my strategy, this is my action plan. I've put my action plan now, everybody is working on it, but I need to evaluate periodically at intervals of time whether my action plan is working or not, right? Whether it is going according to my objectives. If not, then I need to change it. So the implementation of the strategy has to be monitored at regular intervals along with the necessary adjustments required. The evaluation and control involves the following steps, right? It defines the parameters to be measured. What to measure? We have to measure the performance. We have to measure now how performance. Yesterday I told you something called as a KRAs and KPIs. I give you the key result areas, I give you the KPIs, and they will be measurable because we saw in yesterday's slide We have given some scores for it. Then define target values for those parameters. For example, if I tell Sakshi is there. If I tell Sakshi is doing a BA. Sakshi, you need to analyze this data. You need to analyze this data and tell me, okay, this is your target value. If I tell Ishika, you need to tell me how many people have uh, bought the shares of this and this company, right? So I'm setting parameters for you. You have to complete this task. And based on this task, your achievements, your performance appraisal will be measured. Then perform measurements, compare measured results with predefined standards. Now, what is predefined standards and how will I measure your performance? Suppose if I give you a KPI, your key performance indicator, like again I repeat, Sakshi has to analyze 200 datas. That is a target for the month of September, and Ishika has to also do analyze 200 clients, like which company ka shares they have got, right? At the end of the month, Sakshi has done 199 clients and Ishika has done 201 clients. The target was 200, right? So I will say Sakshi has completed 95% of her task and Ishika has completed her task 101%. So that is a predefined standard. Are you getting it? So before your monthly targets, they are called as predefined standards. Then we have what are the key components of strategic planning? Just to summarize, a mission statement. An organization mission statement states the company's purpose and the reason why it exists. Then we have the vision statement, SWOT, goals and objectives, strategies, action plans, resource allocation, evaluation, and control. Now just say, we have come now. Inputs to the planning process. We were just seeing planning, planning, planning. Now, what are the inputs? Okay, evaluate the external environment. Very, very important. And how are you going to evaluate this? Pest analysis, Porter's five forces, the economy, the competition, the political, legal environment, etc. There will be many more to come. Then internal environment will have the firm's financial and human resources, technological capabilities. Then we have the mission, we have the objectives, then we have the value proposition and strategic formulation. So this is, see, how the inputs play a very important role. This is very important. Now, what is the importance of strategic planning? Why we need to have? It is a roadmap for developing the operating budget. The operating budget of an organization allocates the resources for fulfilling the objectives of the subsequent year. These objectives are determined by strategic plan of the organization. We will just read first and then I will explain. The strategic plan, there is a roadmap. Roadmap means a plan of action plan of where the organization will proceed in the next year. This idea gives a lot of clarity in the formulation of operational budget regarding allocation of resources. See, yesterday we had seen, I had shown you a sheet regarding the edible salt plant at Chennai. So in that, one of the key result areas was given to him was the cost control. I don't know how many of you all recall yesterday's sheet. Then we have technique for management expertise. The process of devising a strategic plan serves a very good platform for managers to exhibit their management expertise. It allows them to think about. So this is you can see, this is an exercise also, right? Because you have put yourself into the thinking mode. It allows them to think about the various strategies the organization can deploy and how they can be implemented properly in the given time frame. Therefore, it acts as a technique for developing management expertise. So, you know how you plan, how you organize, how you play an action plan, how you evaluate, and ultimately how you achieve your targets. So, you get a platform to use your own techniques for the fulfillment of the objectives. Then, mechanism to force managers to think long term. We are thinking about long term. Now, managers often get stuck with the day-to-day problems and issues. So what happens is the strategic plan will help the managers to come out of these daily challenges and help them to think about the long-term objectives. Then it will also help in aligning the managers as per the organizational goals. Or imagine your goal says something and you're doing planning somewhere else. You're planning something else. So there is no connectivity between your vision, mission, goals, and your planning. So what happens is alignment becomes very, very important. The strategic planning activity involves lot of detailed discussions and negotiations between various strategic units in an organization. This helps the managers to gain a perspective about the corporate strategies and helps them to align their thought process as per the organizational goals. Then framework for short run actions. What do you mean by framework? The strategic plan serves as a framework for short run actions as well. Now, the short run program decisions are made on a piecemeal basis and one by one, small activities or small tasks, and we are going to measure them one by one. The strategic plan brings all this on one page and makes it, and it will help us to make a bigger organization. It may also show, see, sometimes it may also show ki yes, something is lacking somewhere. So what happens is it will help us to identify those areas, those challenging areas, and we can work on these challenging areas. So it is not necessary that challenging areas can come in the long term only. It can also come in the short term actions. 1 minute, let me explain you what is this piece meal base. Please wait, I'm telling you. Okay, it is piecemeal basis. Piecemeals, if you have a bigger task, we are doing in small steps. We are doing in a series of small steps. We are not doing everything all of a sudden. That is a piecemeal. And when we have, a piecemeal has a format. Piecemeal base has a format. What we do is it is like a demonstration we are taking by putting all the tools and services whatever we have. Now your tools means not the tools what we start, hammer and all. It is not those tools. So it is, in a nutshell, we can say that piecemeal means the doing an activity, doing an action in small stages. All right, that is piecemeal. Then limitations of strategic planning. Why today's students there were 40, now where did 4 disappear? Limitations of strategic planning. Though strategic planning has lots of benefits for the organization, but it has still its limitations. Practice of bureaucracy. If not done properly, strategic planning can be a victim of bureaucracy. That means what? Victims of bureaucracy means lots of work regarding form filling, meetings and activities, yeah, and discussions, but there is no outcome, there is no purpose. This can be prevented if the management conducts periodic reviews of strategic planning. So when we talk about periodic reviews, that means evaluation of strategy on timely basis, and monitors if the desired benefits are occurring to the organization or not. For example, if you're cooking rice, right, timely you go and check whether the rice is cooked. Otherwise, if you don't check, the rice is going to get burnt. Consumes time and money. The strategic planning exercise can also be a time consuming affair. It takes a lot of time of the managers in various departments, and this comes at the cost of their productive time. Right? We are taking meetings. Okay, we are taking meetings, we are doing form filling, we are doing so many activities. Outcome is zero, there is no purpose left. We are putting in lots of time, we are putting in lots of money. Sometimes all this becomes fruitless. So it can also be an expensive activity if it is not monitored. It can also run into roadblocks. You come to a dead end. You don't know what you're doing. You are coming to a dead end due to lack of concern of top management. So the top management plays a very, very important role, when we are doing strategic planning. It can also be hampered where the organization exists in the volatile environment. Environment means the internal environment of the organization is not stable, where planning becomes an ineffective exercise. Like planning is not helping because the internal organization is not stable. Then cannot predict future. Strategic planning should not be seen as a practice of future predictions. All right. Strategic planning always gives a roadmap. Okay, if you go from this road, you're going to reach there. It cannot, it becomes very difficult to predict the future because we are dealing with uncertainties. Cannot guarantee about future. Strategic planning is not a guarantor for the future, right? Planning does not mean your future is going to be assured. Why? Because here the external environment will also play a very, very important role, because the external environment is dynamic in nature and it is changing every now and then. So when I talk about external environment, what the customer is looking for new things in the market, the customers' tastes are changing, or you can say the demographics of the customers are changing. We have lots of technological inputs, lots of technological change. We have the political events that the policies are changing. Therefore, we always say strategic planning has to be dynamic in nature and it should be mutable, subject to change. Always remember that. Subject to change, because it again depends upon the internal environment. More than the internal environment, the external environment plays a very, very important role in making the planning a successful event. All right, up till here, have you followed? Then we have, okay, now this is the strategic planning it is all about. And the last point is cannot resolve critical situations. Strategic planning is not a panacea. Panacea means it is not the solution for all the challenges, because the challenges can come anytime. Now, for example, if there is heavy rains and if there is a flood, we cannot help it. External environment, as I said, it is dynamic, so it will also interrupt the organizational process, right? Then strategic planning does not rescue the organization from criticalities. It is just a planning process. It will tell you this is the way you have to go. It will not give an assured desired result. So we need stability in the organization for strategic planning to succeed. Any difficulty up till here, please? Any difficulty? Anything what you have not followed? Yes? Yes? Anything which you have not followed? Anything which you have not followed? Please speak up. Anything which you have not followed? Nobody wants to say something?
No, ma'am.
Ishika, what happened? Why such low voice? Ishika,
Yes,
you're fine?
yes, yes.
Okay. Why you're speaking so softly today?
Nothing, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Everybody is fine, hopefully. Now, mm, I will just start with with business environment. I'll just give you a highlight, and business environment I'm going to complete tomorrow. One minute, my eyes missing there. Just an highlight, not more. Mhm. Now, I spoke this in strategic planning. I spoke about something called as an environment. That is a business environment. So, what is business environment? It is the sum or collection of all internal and external factors such as employees, employees, customer needs, and expectations, supply and demand, management, clients, suppliers, everything under one roof, everything, every component of the organization, activities by the government, innovation in technology, social trends, market trends, economic changes. These factors affect the function of the company and how a company works directly or indirectly. That is the environment. We all are in some environment. Some of these factors influence the company or business, organizations, environment, and situation. So, this is just the definition I have with you. I'll just roughly tell you what is the importance of the business environment. What is the importance of a business environment? Business environment is complicated. Why complicated? Because it is changing every now and then. It is dynamic in nature. Business environment is complicated and active in nature. What do you mean by active in nature? What do you mean by active in nature? Can anyone tell me?
It never stops.
It never stops, right? Some or the other things goes on happening. What will happen if the environment stops changing? Yeah, what will happen? What will happen if the environment stops changing? What will what will happen if the environment stops changing? Don't you think we will also stop, right? So business environment is complicated and active in nature and has a far-reaching impact on the survival and growth of the business. First of all, if something happens to the business environment, if it stops or if it becomes static, we will have lots of problems regarding our survival and then the problems of our growth. Determining opportunities and threats, giving direction for growth, continuous learning, image building, meeting competition, identifying firms' strengths and weakness. Identifying firms' strength and weakness. So again, all type of analysis, SWOT analysis, test analysis, they come into picture. So we'll have some definitions by Keith Davis and Gluck and George. Business environment is the aggregate of all conditions, events, and influences that surround and affect the business. This is by Keith Davis. Aggregate means the sum of all the conditions. And according to George, the environment includes factors outside the firm which can lead to opportunities for or threats to the firm. So it can be an opportunities, or it can be a threat. Although there are many factors, the most important are socio-economic, technological, supplier, competitors, and the governments. These are the major players in the environment. Yesterday I was trying to color this. Now see, business environment, we have the external environment. Sorry, we have the internal environment and we have the external environment. Internal environment are the shareholders or the promoters. We have the mission and objectives. Then we have the management structure and the nature of how the management we are running. Then we have internal power relationship because interdepartmental people. Then we have brand equity. We have the image of the company. Then we have the physical assets. We'll have the facilities. We have the R&Ds, that is research and development. Then we can have the technological know-how, or we can also call it as technological capabilities. We have the human resources and we have the marketing. Now this I have taken from one of my friends' list. Okay, this is not my slide. I have borrowed it from my friend. So you see, this internal environment is the internal department. What is happening in the organization? Now, what affects the business is more is the external environment, which is again divided into micro. Micro environment is called as task operation, and macro environment is also called as general or remote environment. So let's see what is the task operation or the micro environment. Customers, suppliers, competitors, publics, then financiers, and marketing intermediates. All right. So we can say, again, I repeat, we can have the suppliers, we can have the customers, we can have the market, we talk about the financiers, we talk about competitors, and in the macro, or we can talk about the general environment or the remote environment, we have the economic factors, we have the social and the cultural factors, we can club together as socio-cultural factors. We have got the demographic factors. We have the political or the government factors, like the policies keep on changing. Then we have the natural factors, as I told you, they are not in our control, they are uncontrollable. Like we have, you know, a flood coming, or a landslide, or a famine, or an earthquake. Then we have the technological factors, and then we have the global factors. Now just see, we have the how it is. It's it's a lock and key system. You see the internal environment, all right. Then the internal environment. Now this is the internal environment. That means we talk about employees, the cash flow, the capital assets, the materials, and the structure. This is all. This green part is all pertaining to the organization. Now the red one is the micro environment. We also call it as a task environment, or we also called it as a operating environment. If you see who are involved in this, stakeholders, competitors, suppliers, intermediaries, that you can call it as market intermediaries, and consumers. Then is the third one, that is the macro environment. That is the macro environment. Macro environment has political, environmental, social, and technological. So if you see, it is a lock and key system. Have you followed this diagram? Have you followed this diagram, please? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, now just see. Okay. The internal environment analysis and the external environment analysis. Both are heading towards strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Now you see how they are linked. All right. Both are linked to each other. Then, after we do this SWOT analysis, we will have a SWOT summary which will tell us about the capital strength, which will tell us about the weakness, which will exploit the opportunities, and which will avoid threats. That means it will capitalize. We will capitalize on a strength. That means we will make use of a strength. We will try to mitigate, means we will try to make our weaknesses dilute or work on our weaknesses. Then we can exploit the opportunities, like whatever opportunities we have, we will make use of those opportunities, and as far as possible, we will avoid threats. It is not that threats can be avoided completely, but we can plan it in a such a way that we can really face our threats. Then we have, now I'll just put it, the internal environment components. The internal environment has a direct impact on business. Important internal factors which have a bearing on the decision of a business, and which are generally controllable. Why controllable? Because it's an internal environment, it is in our hands. It is, what to say, it is, the company has control over these factors, right? Controllable because the company can control. Then what is that? We'll have the value systems, the vision, mission, objectives, the management structure and the nature of the management, the internal power relationship, the human resource, and the company image. Up till here, any difficulty you all have? Up till here, do you have any difficulty?
No,
Okay. So can you take the question, please, for this weekend? Can I can I give you a question? Do you have a pen and paper?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, please take it. Describe describe the attributes and hierarchy of of strategic intent. Please copy, or you can just put it in your mobile also. I repeat, I'm going slowly. Describe the attributes and hierarchy of strategic intent. The next question is, explain explain the steps explain the steps for for building building effective KPIs. KPIs.
Sorry,
And
ma'am. One more.
sorry, tell me, should I repeat? Should I tell you
Yes,
again?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, yes.
The second one or the first one?
Second one, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Explain the steps for building effective KPIs. All right. And the next one is discuss the role and application of KRA. You all got it?
Application of
KRA. KRA stands for Key Result Area. Everyone has followed? Everyone has followed? We will continue
yes,
with
ma'am.
the business environment today. Now, what you should do is follow the best practices. We have online lectures from Monday to Friday. You have a Saturday and a Sunday with you. We request you to go through whatever we have done. And if you still have any issues regarding the subject or any problem, any concept which you have not followed, please come and ask us. We are aiming on A plus. All right. Okay. Chalo. I am leaving the meeting. Thank you for attending. Have a nice day.
Okay, ma'am. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Bye.